There it is. Thank you. And I'm going to take this message again. Sorry for, here it is. And the idea today is, you can see from home, these artifacts here, and mostly what will happen is that people at home, you will watch what is happening because the interactive space will be here. That way we can get a little bit more loose and concentrate. So I would like to say, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation because I would like that you learn about the research from the people who helped this happening. And because the research started with me, I moved away from my country and I was 25 when I moved, don't count. and I went a lot of struggles, like finding a job. Like I was like a teacher with all my certifications. And I went to the US and here, my credentials. And they said, they're not valid here. It was in the Midwest of the US where the amount of Latinos are not that high. And then people from Puerto Rico that were not known there, they're most in New York or in other areas, right? Florida. So I needed to start as an assistant preschool teacher. It was like, and the requirement were 0. The requirements to be an assistant preschool teacher is that you are 18 years old. That's it. And a background check. And I started there. And eventually people asked me, oh, you speak Spanish. And then talking with me, you used to be an actress. You might be really good with pronunciation in Spanish. So this mom hired me as a Spanish teacher. And I was like, okay. So that took me, and then eventually when I moved in 2015 here, from the US to the UK, it happened the same. My qualifications were not valid here. And I went through a financial emergency and I needed to work as soon as possible to pay my rent and support my family. So I started cleaning because it was the fastest one. And again, I cannot wait for 1 year to have my credentials as a teacher here to work and have a salary. And that stayed with me. And I was like, this might be other people like me in the world. And eventually with my experience here, working with community groups and working with charities, I was like, what's next? So I decided to try to be a researcher, which is, I've been a practitioner all my life. And because I used to be an administrator, I used to run with other people the Spanish language school here, like the one that is community, the heritage one. And they're always, like just keeping that information in my head and how it works and how we relate to each other and how this country will perceive us. And I said, I feel like I became a language teacher by accident. And I was like, when I was reading, people will talk to me, you are overseas teachers. Like, I'm not overseas, I'm here. Oh, you are a migrant teacher. But I'm here already, Once I feel like a local because I live here as a local until I decide to try a PhD. And all this, the worst title that people within they will give you is you are an imported teacher. I'm not a good, like something. So I was like, no. And reading about this literature was like, there's some disconnections here. Actually, the term that I can embrace is I am an accidental language teacher. So I decided to explore this term, the accidental language teacher, and I found them. So I connect with, we have here in Cambridgeshire around 31 to 33 heritage language schools. Most of them are here in Cambridge and a couple of them in Ely and St. Ives. And so I send them the questionnaires and I got back to them and that was the first filter. And then I interview 11 teachers and they're from different genders. And then the last 4, I want to have up to 6, and I have 4 who got interested to go through the process of doing the drama workshops. And the idea is, we are going to go through these drama workshops that we're going to emerge who we are. And the idea of emerging this is to find where is the formation of the professional identity. as language teacher, but of course, everything was bubbling up and other things came, and resurfaced. And so I have 4 teachers here. They are from different countries. And what I would like to invite you is that you experience what they did here. So I have some artifacts, and it's like a mini installation. So you are going to find where you would like to cue, right? And then you'll come here, and you can read and observe, and you can manipulate it. So you can train it to you and see what is the object. And I invite you to reply to them with sticky notes, whatever comes to your mind. If you see, I don't know, if I see a heart, for example, maybe the first thing I think is love, and that's fine. But if you go deeper, you see like, I feel connected with you because that's my favorite color, anything. You can write a word, a sentence, a phrase. If you would like to write it in another language, please do it. And you can maybe put in parentheses what it means in English, because you'll see here that some of them, they use their own language because that is part of our identities. And before we move here, I would like to explain the way, when I use the word identity, I'm not saying we are just one thing. So I take the word identity as it's a block. It's this block that it has many little blocks inside. And each of those blocks is one identity. So you have many identities within your identity, which I call the self, so it's not confusing. And what my approach is a more psychological approach to the term identity, because I explore the process that we go every day forming our identities. It's seconds, it's to the speed of light. We're always checking. So our identity process is like a self-cleaning oven. Right? It happens, you just click a button, and boom, it's happening all the time. And it's happening right here now from you that are watching us, and for us here. So since look at me how I'm dressed, okay? Whatever I picked today to wear, I might think it was not my intention. Of course it was my intention. I'm letting you know part of who I am. I'm not dressing in black, so that's something. You can see all the colors that I'm wearing here, right? Like animal print trainers, and my hair as well. Maybe you cannot see very well, but it's blue. So we're sending these messages all the time. And because we're going all happening to this process, so I'm probably like looking at you and I'm checking, internally, I'm not processing right away, but I'm saying like, oh, I like what she's wearing, that hairstyle, maybe I would like to try that one or not, and things like that. And then I move, can I do it with you as well? I'm moving here, and like, I know her. That's the reason I know she was open to it. And maybe here you say something, and I say like, I like the way he thinks. Maybe I should explore that more. But it's not your internal monologue. That is happening here in your brain with all these connections without thinking. And then you go to everyone. So we have this individual identity that we're checking. Do I like the way I am? Would I like to adopt anything from anyone else? Okay, and also we have our community identity. That is what we build together. What is usually to happen when you're using applied drama, to facilitate social justice and also for facilitate education. Okay, enough talking. So I will invite you that you come and line up here and look at everything, because everything has a meaning, okay? And from you at home, I'm gonna show you some of the artifacts I have here, and you can do the exercise at home, okay? And you can write on your notebook or something and keep it for yourself. And this was all made by the participants of my study. So this is a doll. Those are the ones that you use to learn how to draw like the human figure. So it has you can move it a certain way. And this is real fabric that I have, like pieces of fabric that they were donated. So I would like to give a shout out to local artists. Sadia, I know you're here, and your sister Samira, thank you for donating. Yeah, thank you for donating the fabric to my participants. These are the beautiful things that they made. So you'll see one by one. And then we decided to we didn't have that much time. They have just 12 minutes to complete this task. So we need to be really resourceful. So it's basically scissors. We have scissors, scissors. We have double-sided tape, and then the fabric and some yarn. And some people use labels to make the faces. Okay. It's this one here. The other object. So I'll go to the second one. This is and all of my participants, they have names of flowers. Let me show you. The previous one that I showed it to you, her name is White Lily. So those are their pseudonyms that they picked, which is a great, great way, because what I love about this country is that you see flowers all year around and color. So I was fascinated by that, and part of my identity surfaced in that way, and then we will be picking names of flowers to identify the participants. This one is the second one. This one is Red Rose, and this is aluminum foil. Have here. And the third one, this one is Purple Jasmine. Purple Jasmine. This one has an old stylish. Right down here. And it has, I think, some bracelet as well. So all of them express. So the idea is that each of these is their representation of themselves at a certain point of their lives, of the way they feel. The last one here, this one is Hydra. The name is like, oh my gosh. I'm going to show you the flower. Here's the flower. And this participant, she made this. And this one, when she shared this one, was quite emotional. Because as you see, she's doing the split here. And before she was able to do it, not anymore, because she developed a condition. So, but when she opened up to us, how now her body works different, and she is sad and maybe frustrated, learning how to deal with that, she was able to connect to the other participants that always they had something that it was like being limited now in their lives. And here the detail of the hair, she made a braid, and this whole piece was completed in 12 minutes. And then she used the face of an oso perezoso. There you go. So we have this one here. So we are going to turn my attention here to my participants. So we have here on the floor, because they're queuing. In this country, it's really important that you are lining up to go somewhere. So that's the reason you see like some dots on the floor. And mind the gap are the words that you will see when you're taking the train or the underground. So you'll be careful that you don't fall. Mind the gap. But this gap might be other kind of gap, right? So maybe you can think about what might be the gap that we're talking about here. I'm going to play a song that it was sent by one of my participants and expressed very well how she feels living in this country, and that really resonates with a lot of us living here when we move from other countries. I don't know why is this not working, but anyway, I'm just going to turn it off here. Let me see. It's fine. It's not like that. It's not connected. Okay. You're connected. Let's see. Play.
Stay there.
Yeah, let me see. If I go here and then play. No, it's fine. The volume is fine here and here as well. I don't know why it's not. Dion says that is on mute. No, it's not on mute. Why are you muting yourself? Come on. Oh, no. Okay, let's see if it works now. No. It's fine. Okay, so I think most people are ready. Don't worry about it. Okay, we're having some challenges with the music, which is fine, because we can move on to our next exercise. So let's see if I have here. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Juliana. I can bring it here. Sorry, I will not touch this time, just deal with the other volume.
Tengo marcado en el pecho todos los días que el tiempo no me dejó estar aquí.
anything
va
specific?
conmigo y me cura desde que te conocí. Tengo una huella perdida y
Just sharing a
entre tu
little bit
sombra y
here
la mía
who is who.
que no me deja mentir.
So they're both students, just from education as well. Yay!
Una moneda en la fuente, tú mi deseo pendiente, mi gana de revivir.
Where's the camera?
Tengo
Amazing.
una mañana constante y yo una acuarela esperando verte pintado de azul. Tengo tu amor y tu
And then, which one is your area of study or discipline?
tengo el mar del otro lado, tú eres mi norte y mi sur. Hoy voy a verte.
I met her on Wednesday, that's the reason. And I know you were presenting during the conference as well, right? And Roy? Okay. So it's not because okay, perfect. Your buddies, yeah. Perfect. So now, do you have? I'm gonna bring the microphone here, in case you would like to share, and you don't have to. You don't have to perform for the camera neither. So, did anything? What are your? I would like that if you can, you share. What were your observations from this mini installation here? And if you would like to talk, I will bring the mic to you. And if you would like to go and grab your piece of paper, you're more welcome than do it. Another way to approach is if you have questions for me as well, of how was the process or the aims as well.
I'm just a bit interested in the names because they are all named after flowers. So can I ask about how do you name them or what's the reason behind it?
Okay, so because it's like I cannot ignore also my identities because the way I am, I was looking at other people to connect with me as well. And I presented to them, to the people I was interviewing, the idea, especially I was like, I've been observing that in this country you have year-round flowers. It's always color because I used to live in Midwest in the US, so it's snow up to your knees and everything looks like it's sleeping, or some people might think some things are dead, right? It's like pretty gray and no leaves or flowers. So I brought this to them. I was like, what about if we use our pseudonyms, our fake names of flowers? Yeah, let's do it. So I sent them a list of flowers so they can pick one that they feel identified with. Some of them was because of the color. Some of them was because it's their favorite flower. Some of them because maybe they had that back home, or the opposite, they never see it before in their lives. And that is the thing that they like from here. That flower makes me smile. So that's the answer to that question. Anything else?
From what I was reading, I think they are all teachers, no?
They are all teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one was from Peru, and the others, not clear to me from where they were exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you read some words. It's like, that's another language. Do you find out can you identify the languages?
Yeah.
Spanish, anything else? German? Yes. So they are, 4 of them, they are from, 2 of them are from the same country, but one of them, she's multilingual. She's been living in different countries, so she knows 5 languages, but she was not a language teacher. So all of them didn't plan to become a heritage language school teacher. This first person, she's an OT, an occupational therapist, and she's been doing a cross, but also here, that need of connecting with her culture brought her to be a heritage language school. The second person, she's from Germany. She's living in the UK in different places. She came here and she was a kindergarten teacher. She was a teacher, but she didn't study to be a language teacher. It's like, so she used her creativity as a kindergarten teacher to be a language teacher. That was the opportunity that opened up for her. Then the third one here in the pink, this person is from Peru. So you see a lot of writing in Spanish. And that person there, I have the teddy bear there because one of her comments is that she feels like Paddington. Because the extraction, like giving Shields extraction from Peru, to here, and this culture shock. And this person is the one that has most of the culture shock still living through it. And she lives half of the year in Peru and half the year here. And she works in both places. So she didn't plan to be a language teacher. She was exploring what to do, and she was hired as a kindergarten teacher in Peru. Then foreigners from Norway came to Peru, to her area, and asked her, can you teach them, to the kids who are new Spanish? And then she became a Spanish teacher in her country. But when she moved here, right? Yeah. When she moved here, then it was different because it's teaching the kids of the diaspora. But their needs are different. It's a Norwegian children getting into use of the Peru. And then when she goes back to Peru, what do you think she does there when she goes back to Peru? English teacher, exactly. She's an English teacher, yes. Yeah, and that's very common. And then the last participant, she's a linguist of the English language. And she studied that in Hungary. So she's like, I'm a linguist. When she came here to the UK, I'm going to work as a linguist. No, because in Hungary, people don't talk English. Like how? No, it's not possible. And then she's like, okay, so I'm going to teach English. You're not a native English speaker or the way you come, and this is super common. And she needed to read, she was a waitress, among other things, and most of them, like a lot of different, and people who I interview, the same thing, go through different jobs. And she finally landed to be a kindergarten teacher. Because that way, and I used to be a preschool teacher, you are actually like an English teacher in so many ways as well. This is first contact with a more formal way of using the language and learning. So yes, and that participant, what reflects, is one of the things that I taught within my dissertation, that is, they all suffer ethnic penalties. Ethnic penalties is well known in the labor market and business in the terms of how you get a job and where, right? And they suffer ethnic penalties, and it's because this is a penalty. You've been punished because of who you are. Can you guess what humans are mostly punished here with labor, with ethnic penalties? Do you have a guess? Who might be the people who suffer most of the ethnic penalties here? Any person, especially Black people. And also you have a lot of Black Caribbean people, a lot of people, Bangladeshi, Pakistan, people from Pakistan, India, so you go like from all the shades of brown, basically. And yes, so that's part of the ethnic penalty. So they landed to be this accidental language teacher, not because they didn't want to work within the profession, is because they limited them. They put a barrier after barrier, okay? So now, if you don't have any, do you have any more questions?
I just want to make an observation.
Yes. Would you like the microphone?
Oh, yeah. I just want to make an observation and to ask whether or not this was deliberate on your part in the design of this event. We had a session this morning on looking at shared humanity and theatre, and one of I love that you talked about earlier that we're all in our little blocks, and you did this. This morning we talked about an imaginary 10-story tower with 4 rooms, which was like this. So I like that your horizontal sort of mirrored the vertical. And the other thing that I noticed, not so much in terms of the dolls, but their objects fascinated me. And I'm just curious whether or not the ball, the glasses, the teddy bear, and the butterfly were chosen because they represent the 4 different kinds of shared humanity: the physical, practical, the analytical, the emotional, and the spiritual, or that is purely coincidental. I'm just interested.
So would you like to know the truth?
I'd love to know the truth.
Behind
Give
the
me the truth,
observations.
Heidi.
So the ball, this person, she's an occupational therapist. So she teaches parents how to play with their children who has disabilities. And the ball is the main object that she uses. And I understand, because as a preschool teacher, I will use that. And as well, if you've seen before, the O ball is a ball with a lot of holes that anyone, if you don't have some physical difficulties, you can grab it really easily with your fingers. So yes, it is for her profession.
It's for her profession, but the glasses, why do the glasses?
Okay, so the glasses, this person, she's an artist. She's a visual artist. And the glasses is because she enjoys like reading stories to the children and doing storytelling. So she needs her reading glasses for that. Yes.
And the bear we've said is Paddington.
It's Paddington, representation of Paddington, who was extracted from Peru to live here. And here, the butterfly. So the butterfly here. And this has to be with an exercise that we're going to do. It's about like that night, this person told me during the break, I was looking forward to be here without my children. And this, like, I feel like free, I'm playing here, but playing seriously, but playing, Yeah. And the butterfly is the symbol of freedom, but also because she loves nature. This person, she goes all the time to the botanic garden, and she loves to connect with nature.
Yeah.
And she, as a kindergarten teacher, she brings that into her pedagogy.
Well, that's definitely projection on my part of putting the level on there. It wasn't there. Or as a collective subconscious, that those are the things that make us human.
Yeah.
And I love that as an exercise, because it generates, in the same way this morning, we have said, do something and see what the conversation leads. This invites us to engage in their lives, and therefore engaging in their lives, we engage not in our lives, but the lives of the people in the space. It's lovely.
Yeah, thank you. And also it was magical. If there's no other way I can use it, I will set up the room. I did one here and one at Mary Edwards, another one in other classrooms, and I will set up the classroom for them with materials, like all the pens, all the fabric, and their faces will light up. They will come in like it was Christmas, that feeling. So it was setting up the area for people to work. It's inviting.
And again, was all the materials just in one area?
So I will have different areas of the room. I will have like a table with musical instruments that we will use for storytelling. We will have another area with all these arts and crafts.
Yeah.
And then we will have area that we can bring things to make. But people, they will sit on the floor. They can do whatever they want to interact with these objects.
Thank you.
Together. Yeah. So now, if we don't have any other questions, yes.
Offensive question. Why all the teachers, they are female? Yeah.
When I did the survey,
yeah,
I only had one person who identified as a male, and he was not in the UK, so he will not qualify for the study because it's based in Cambridgeshire. And the second is then most of them, it was women. I'm telling you, from the 11 people I interviewed, just one man. Yeah. So it was not because I decided that they became women.
Okay.
They just like people who fill up the application and the questionnaire, they were women. So in that way, my research is talking to me. about what is happening in society and who are the ones teaching in those heritage language schools as well. And it's a general observation, my mother is 77 years old. And when she was growing up in Puerto Rico, there was that many, options to which we'll pick to study and develop professionally. It's like you can be a nurse or a teacher, because the other professions were for males. So if we that is a window for research there, that someone goes like, why all the participants here are women? So that's another observation that I welcome people to do their research about it, because I cannot get off the rails with mine. I need to finish. But thank you for that observation, yes. Okay, so I will invite you to please, let's move the chairs away, please, so we can use the space. And people at home, you will see us doing the exercises. That's what will happen. You'll be our audience, our witnesses. And as I tell my participants, a lot of things when I'm exploring, it's like, why do you pick this exercise? So the exercises that I'm choosing to explore identities, they exist. Some of them, they exist. And I have 3 requirements to pick that exercise and say, I think we can explore identity with that. One is role playing. Another one is related with the context, okay? And the context that opens up with time, where you are, and what are you doing as well. And also what period in your life. So each of us are characters, like in a play. So that's the way I'm exploring identity. It's the same way you will analyze a character within a play. This is like the most summarized way I can give it to you now. And I will invite you, we're going to walk through the space, so we're going to walk. And on purpose, I'm not using music, because music will influence us. And I would like to be as a canvas as possible. And you're going to draw on your own canvas, imaginary one. And we walk around, and we stop, and we look around. And we recognize our existence. You can smile if you want to, you can just look at someone. And we continue walking, and we walk, and we walk. And then while we're walking, I invite you to think about an element of nature. And this element of nature that you can connect with. It could be the wind, earth, it could be fire, it could be water. And within these elements, they could take any form. It could be rain. It could be like drops of water. It could be like wind as a hurricane or a really smooth breeze. And raise your hand if you have your elements, if you have it in your mind, that element. Okay. And we are going to make a circle, please. Or we can take our hands down. And I will invite you to perform your element when you feel ready, okay? But if you want to, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, okay? So I will start with mine. That's it? Okay, perfect. So now we're going to think about a way that we have already the elements. So how we can add to that to present our names. Okay, for example, I was doing this, Heidi, Heidi, okay? So when you perform, we're going to reply to you with movement as well. We're going to copy you, okay? Because we would like to experience how it is to be you a little bit, okay? So I'm going to perform, and then you're going to reply to me. Heidi, Heidi.
Roy.
Yes.
Roy.
Yeah, and then what about if you reply to me the same way? Copy.
Oh, I see.
You
So,
copy me.
Do I name? Do I say your name?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
Heidi. Hello, Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
thank you. So whoever would like can go next with your movement of nature and your name, and we're going to copy that person. Reply to it. And we reply, bird, 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 bird. Hathaway, Hathaway, Hathaway.
Hi,
Francesca, Francesca. So why do you think I ask you to pick an element and just perform it? That's one question. And the second is, why are we replying to each other, copying each other? So those are the two questions, and we're using this to debrief, you know, this is the part of the lab part. So why are we doing this? What was in my head and in your head when you were doing this?
The elements are, we're all made up of elements. We're all made up of the same elements. And, my colleagues know I teach Qigong, and that's all elemental work. And so you're giving us something safe and known that we can relate to, which is personal to us. And then when you asked us to behave like you, which is a terrifying thing to do, to go shh. But actually what you're encouraging us to do is to connect with you where you are and not where we are. And unless we're able to absolutely embody that other person, you cannot understand them. That's how I would.
No, that's beautiful. I'll get back to you because I would like everyone to have their own. I don't want to influence anyone.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I think our name and the element is a way to bring us, we are part of the earth. I mean, we are part of the rest of nature. And for me, putting my name in with a particular expression of nature, I felt like coming together somehow, like I belonged, like my body belongs to the earth, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of responding to you, I think I didn't find it terrifying, but I found it kind of liberating to be able to. I thought your thing was very clever and a little bit silly, and I'm not as silly as that. So it was fun to be silly. I like being silly.
Yeah. Before I forget, I will just reply to both of you. So what you said about silly, I'm a silly person. So the idea is about what we talk about identity. Identity is about how I perceive myself, but it's also about how you perceive me. Okay? So I'm giving you permission, the way you said, to treat me the way I want to be treated. It's the same thing with the pronouns. Okay? And the way we decide what to wear is a way we're saying, people, I would like to approach me this way, or I'm like this. You can see all my pins here. Black Lives Matters. I'm an ally of trans people, and Rock the Arts, and this is a campaign, Behave Badly. It was like when women in Cambridge were not being able to apply and be admitted. And Behave Badly was the secret code, like, we are here together, to break in the system. So this tells you a lot about myself, just without opening my mouth. Anyone else would like to share something?
In your way, it's kind of make a connection, and that's how we can commute. Because if you use your way to say hi, maybe you do not understand, so we need to follow your way.
Yes.
That's great. Can I try something with you? Can we do a small performance improv here to explain something? So what you observe is like if I invited you to dance with me, right? And then I'm start doing this.
And then I would just follow.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you propose something else. I don't know. And we all, if we like to dance, you can feel this connection of communication without words, being part of your world and you being part of my world as well.
And I think one of the key points here, and this actually links into the theme of there, is that you have to find a point of contact. I think the message that we were talking about, unless you can connect with that person, they can't even get into a dialogue. You won't be able to do any serious transformation. But what I observe from this, and also observing, how willing are we to connect with you? And the term silly is one thing, but actually I think it's a liberated thing. Yes. My daughter runs a queer consultancy, and her whole focus is on creating space where people can identify. Now, she has had a lot of attacked for that, because she is saying this is our role. Now, unless we can be open to the idea of difference, and all we want to do is stay in our, this is the way the world is, the thing I gained from that is, what is going on in our own hearts and minds to go, this is fun, but I just don't want to change. Because that's what you're inviting us to do, to go with that vulnerable place of, wow, you're asking me to be something that I'm not. And I would argue you're asking us to be a part of ourselves we're yet to connect with.
And I have one of the participants, I'm going to bring the microphone here. One of the participants had the same reaction you both had when, we're performing, And I was like, it's okay. She's like, no, because I enrolled here because I wanted to learn to be out of the box. But she will complain every time. And that was part of her process, because she was there doing it willingly. Okay, but part of the exploration was to complain. I'm not going to feel offended for that. It's part of the process, that's the reason we're there. Do we like to share something or, sorry, but I forgot this before.
Yeah, I think also the exercise that you proposed was revealing a lot about the identity of the group. So how the group would react all together, or each one will add their own style, like the rhythm. And so identity is also constructed collectively, no?
Yeah. So that's like a community identity, right? And you can go through the same process. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question, because when we choose the element, I just choose the earth.
Okay.
So that's the reason I just stand stable. Yeah, but the problem is that everyone just communicates with the wave. And I just stand stable. It looks like I'm doing nothing, but actually I'm playing as the earth.
Okay.
So how can I communicate with other identity if I just choose a very stable identity?
So that's something that I remember during the workshop. Someone picked. I did it on purpose. I didn't mention the earth. I said the other elements. She's like, no. It's like, she said, but I'm the earth, and what about the earth is part of it? I was like, because I divided the exercise on purpose, but yes, you can do whatever you want, no? Stay still. It could be, I don't want to tell you who you are, but our choices define us, right? Yeah. So in part, my reaction of asking who would like to perform, do something, and I would leave it just be yourself just there without giving you the attention is because I don't know if you're not doing it because it's your element, but I don't know if it's because you don't feel comfortable to participate as well, right? And us as educators, we have to be so aware of this, to respect each other. But yes, so I don't have a concrete answer, but I think the answer, it'll be within you. And maybe when you go home, and if you have any comment, please send me a message, because it's really interesting, you say still, how you can make people noticing you and reveal your identity. I think by being still, you're telling a lot to us already. But your explanation complements that as well. What do you think?
I think how to provoke the earth element is that when everybody just stop moving, I still stand stable. That means I'm the earth. Yeah, and it's and things like that will come to it. Also, is our choice of representation as well, based on our experiences.
It is, and because we're family now, this is great. What was interesting, and I'm interested in your thoughts of how did you feel about copying other people's energy? You can be earth or fire or wind or whatever, but how did you feel about being connected with Heidi and Roy? How did you feel about mirroring their embodied way of being? How did that make you feel and think?
Actually, it's kind of weird. Yeah, because everybody just moving around and walk around. I just stand stable and I feel like I'm isolated. But actually, the truth is that I need to spot everybody when everybody needs the energy from the earth. Whenever you are the wind, the water, or the tai chi, the yin yang, all the energy came from the earth. But you don't know I'm spotting you. So it's kind of alone.
No, and your explanation, if we're talking about the community identity, this reveals a lot to it, because then the rest of us, we need to be aware on how you process what happened here, and that we are to let you know we are here with you and check with you on the way you use energy is different than us, right? But I'm learning right now. I'm questioning my identity and saying I'm too hyper. Maybe I should be more like Yuki, and take it down a little bit. And that will stay with me. That will stay with me,
When we did the session this morning, Sean and I and Juliana created the space, but the exercises we created based on you. We created based on the dynamic of the people in the room. If you are a different group, there is a wonderful energy based on the 5 elements called the 5 rhythms dancing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We would have done that with you, but you weren't the right audience to do the 5 rhythms dancing. Maybe we'll do the 5 rhythms dancing before we leave today. But our part of facilitating, and I'm interested in terms of coming back to this, each one of these is having a different experience of the world in time and space and place, and finding that point of contact, that point of connection, is what all of this exercise I see is doing. Our challenge is, can we move from that corner of where we are comfortable just into that point of connection? We can go back to our corners, we can go back to our elements, but at some point we have to shift from where we are to make connection with others. Otherwise, we just find ourselves in conflict.
And that's the next exercise. I'm going to push you a little bit further with an exercise that I call the House of Mirrors. And for this, I will invite you to grab a piece of paper, and we can divide it. How many out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I think if I split some of this, because you need to support on something. So it's enough thick, I think, for you to be supported there. Here, and here. Yes, and I have pens. So we have pens here. And yeah, because they need something a little bit, and I have more pens that I can give it to you. Here are 4, and I have one more there. You got something? Nada. Okay. So the next, the House of Mirrors. Okay, so I'm going to learn a little bit more about you. For this workshop about identity, you're going to share as much or as little as you want, okay? Again, if you don't feel comfortable, go to the side, and that's okay. I'm just going to go to you to check, are you okay? Do you need something? Because I'm a carer. This is part of why I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, so yeah, I'll do that. I will check on you all the time. So what we're going to build here is a house of mirrors. So you can stay here where you are.
Okay.
And then what about, can you step forward, please? There you go, perfect. And then if we can do 1/4, there you go, and 1/4 here, there you go. So we have 2 here. And then we can have one more person here. We like, thank you, Yuki. Yes, and then we can have you here. Because I'm trying people can see, there you go. And then you are perfect right here. Yeah, you're perfect here. If you can move a little bit there, perfect. So now I'm going to explain, and then you will decide who's going to be the first one to go. The idea of this exercise is you're going to think of different characteristics that they describe you. And this could be, you can think about a phrase or a word. For example, for me, hyper. That thing is a word that defines me, hyper, okay? And I will write it down, but don't share with anyone. I'm just revealing mine because of the exercise, but you don't share yours. You write yours. And we're going to think about a second one, a second phrase or a second word. For me, it will be, So I will write insomnia, because I suffer from insomnia, okay? Those are the 2. But you are not going to show it to us what you wrote and to anyone. Then, the second part is whoever would like to go first, I will go here, and without saying anything, I'm gonna perform the first characteristic. And then you will reply to me. My characteristic.
Your characteristic.
Yes, you are my mirror. Okay. And then, when I move to him, you're going to write down what you thought we did together. Because you're going to guess what is that characteristic. So you might have Heidi, and then what you thought, okay? And then you move to the second person. And we're going, each of us, you are a mirror, okay? I don't want to complicate it more, so who would like to go first? Anyone would like to go first? I cannot go because I already explained. You're happy to go first? So you can start with your mirrors. Do not say what are you performing, and each of you, your job is to write down what you thought he's expressing there.
Yeah.
Come here. He's gonna write it down. And then you're gonna do it together.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, great. So before the next person, I would like to just reflect in action here. So it was marvelous, this connection here, because it reveals about both of you and who maybe a bit like better at doing something than the other, no? So for me, I was like, oh, she might be the teacher of that, like she might be the teacher of that practice, okay? And the second is like, why do you think I ask you to move, and connect with that? Why do you think it might be movement part of the exercise? Any clues? And if you say like, I don't know, Heidi, you tell me, I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with that.
Your body is your identity, also it's part of your identity. So if you don't move, how can you express your identity?
Yeah, we all walk in different ways. And it depends how you're feeling and what point of the day you're going to walk different. Right now, I'm walking like this, moving like this. When I leave here tonight at 9, I'll be hunching, and that reveals how I'm feeling. Second is, I'm a dancer. So I'm really aware of muscular memory, okay? And also how you can, as a dancer, I remember, I was not good with the French words in ballet, but if I listen, I will perform everything. And the teacher was like, how can you do it, but you don't know the word? I was like, I don't know, but I'm doing it, right? And with modern dance as well. So it's because we have different inputs of how we learn and we communicate. We do it in different ways. And also because you reveal with movement as well, it's part of who we are. In how I would like to be projected and how you will give me that back. So it's an expansion of the first exercise, but a little bit more complicated, okay? So we're going to move to the second person who would like to go to join the House of Mirrors.
Even good at that.
Great. So the other thing is this moment that we are here, you have the notebook, I'm performing, and then they're writing down, and you're waiting here. You're just waiting here. So they go through the process. As humans, we have a serious problem with silence. Why? And I've been discovering this. As a teacher, I ask learners to share how they feel and what they think, but if I'm always talking, how are they going to have time to identify and recognize how they're feeling and what they're thinking? So I'm always sharing with people to learn from my mistake. We need spaces of silence, and we need to be supportive of that, and just being here with you, just waiting for you. Okay, and keep going. Okay, who would like to be the third person showing? Because at the end, we're going to reveal.
Long word. Right.
Great, thank you. So the key of the exercise is perception. Do you have any observations of how she was performing, not what she was doing, but this communication she had with each of you? Do you have any observation about her perception or your perception of her? How you're like reading this person without revealing your word of how you observe from her? Yes. That's the thing. Yeah.
Actually, her preference is quite different from the first two people because all the gestures quite complex. Even herself can't remember the first dance she does. So she, for the role, she just danced with this gesture for the start, and for the second person, she changed to left the right hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, and because she understands very well movement. We observe the same, and that's the reason I'm using it as an example.
I thought it was an invitation to interact.
Yes.
In a way that Roy and I didn't have the same. We wanted to show an emotion, but we didn't. It wasn't. It was first one and then the other. But I thought hers was, wanting to interact with us.
Yeah. It's interesting because as witnesses about like how she might change slightly, I observe she's changed with each of you.
And I think part of Francesca's energy,
Exactly.
the energy that you bring to it is incredible, and this is my word, so I can say this, that's fine, is incredibly respectful and responsive. And what you did that we didn't, you advanced to us, and then you gave us a space. And that was a really, well, not as an intuitive thing anyway, but the idea is allowing us to come close safely and stepping away safely. It's really wonderful from a dancing point of view. It was a dance.
And also it's like about like how she was changing. For me, it's also about the rhythm as well. Like she came to you, but we've been observing you. So probably unconsciously, we might know if we can come right to you, or we need to wait a little bit for you to come closer. And these are processes that we're not noticing it, but we're reading each other all the time. Doesn't matter you want or not. And I think the point more clearly was when you got here, we have a way that she was trying to handle the notebook, and then you just wait here. And your start was not June like you did with Roy. You were like, for me, it was like, take your time. It's okay. When you're ready, I'm ready. But that's my perception based on my experience. You might read something else. Who else would like to go next to do the mirror? Anyone else? Okay. It's more like a prank.
I already wrote something. Okay. Yeah.
Comes all this way, strikes a student. Do hope you're playing this at home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to have a turn doing the mirror? Well, yeah, you're welcome to do it if you would like to share with us. Yes. But you see her silence talked. She just looked at you like, we're missing something here. Great, thank you. So now to unpack this exercise, I will invite you to grab a chair so we can sit here close to each other. And you can bring your notes, please. So we've been building suspense through the whole exercise, like what is going to happen, what someone wrote. And I would like to give like some kind of a disclaimer. When I'm working these kind of exercises, I will not start the way we start already, because you knew what was mostly about it because of the title, so you know a little bit about the risk of it. And also, I read the energy here, and I felt everyone was like ready to work. But usually I will start my workshops doing some breathing exercises. Like for example, Wednesdays, we had the building community day here. There was a lot of people. It was a lot of happening. So we need to take a time to do breathing exercises to concentrate us, because we need to do like the next step of the exercise at the moment. So breathing exercises with visualizations of colors, I found out it helps because it connects you with different senses. Because you perceive with colors, we perceive temperature, textures, emotions as well. So usually I start with that. And my sister there, she works with meditation, so she knows very well what I'm talking about. That's like how we connect, because she's a teacher of meditation, specifically based of neurology and psychiatry. So yeah, she's an advisor for med school students. So yeah, so a shout out to her. She's the only one who does that technique in Puerto Rico. So ha ha ha. Breath, body, and mind, right? There you go. So you can look up if you want to. I have the book. and she will be publishing soon as well with them. So, okay, proud sister here. Anyway, turning the page. So, who would like to go first to say, like, I think what this person was performing, it might be this characteristic. Can we share what we perceived from the other person and the way we were moving, what they were trying to reveal?
Do you want to say what it was?
Someone else would like to say what you perceived from Roy. Do you remember the way you were moving? Can you show it to us again? Okay. So you perceive as calm.
Yeah.
How do you perceive him? What do you wrote? Do you thought that he was the characteristic he was giving to us?
I just wrote the name of Tai Chi.
Tai Chi. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I thought precision.
Precision. Great.
Balance.
Balance. And then, did any of them nail it?
Yes.
Which one is it? What do you?
It is Tai Chi. It is the opening move of Tai Chi. I'm a Tai Chi instructor.
Oh, you're a teaching instructor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's balance.
It's balance. So
That
you-
was exactly the word.
So, ding, 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 ding.
Ding, you get 10
Perfect.
points and a free flight back to Madrid.
Nice. Oh, great. So who would like next to share like what this person was doing? I think he was, or she was trying to reveal this. Anyone would like to go next? And you can say about someone else. It doesn't have to be Roy again. It could be someone else. You can pick your own notes if you want to.
I put Bart as optimistic.
But as optimistic?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has something to...
Happy. Yeah, but
Happy? Okay. Got happy. Optimistic. Anyone else about
Yeah, I put Bud as open.
open? Okay. Happy as well.
I was thinking happy.
Happy as well. Because, sorry.
Happy.
Happy as well. Perfect. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. So she's pretty aware and of reading people. Now we should be afraid, maybe. Okay. Anyone else would like to reveal what you thought about how the person was revealing from the personality?
I thought halfway just say good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Because she was doing this. Good job.
Yeah.
Anyone else thought Hathaway was doing this?
I thought she was fun.
Fun. Okay. Relax.
Team player.
Team player. Now the moment of truth. Did anyone guess? No. Okay.
Actually, we're thinking about enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. Okay. More specific. So this is interesting. Also our word choices as well. Because everything comes into this, right? Of like how precise we would like to express ourselves as well. I'm a language teacher from Spanish, but there's a lot of connections within all the languages and how we use language. So yes, thank you for that. Anyone else would like to read their guess about what the other person might be revealing with their movement?
Yuki, I put, I had a description of what this about Yuki. In thinking about it, I thought one of the things that it showed was power, strength.
Strength.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that's what she thought, but.
I said determined.
Determined.
I said formal.
Formal.
Quite formal.
Great. Do you have any
I actually put strengths as well.
strength as
Yeah,
well?
strengths as well.
So this is the second time you connect very well, both of you, because the way you move and also like word choices. So that's really something, Okay, Yuki, can you tell us if we read you well?
I think Roy is correct. That's the reason I do it very formally. Yeah, that's what I teach to my friends, because I'm a leader of the karate club.
Okay.
So that's how I teach them.
Okay. So it has to do with the way you practice
Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. And we can see that within education, the pedagogies that we use reveals a lot of who you are. And this is one of the purposes that my research has, is that it's important to include exploring identity from the perspective of the person facilitating, because if you do that, we're going to take into account your students. And you would like cater education for them as well. And it's not like you're the absolute knower. They will bring something knowledge into the conversation and the learning process. So for me, that's the importance of work from from the lens of identity. Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this, Heidi, because one of the challenges that we see in our formal education, in our banking model, is that I will give you this and that's going to be enough. But if I'm not able to connect with you or make contact with you, and one of the things that we have been educated, particularly in Western education, is to be disembodied. You don't give value to the body. And if you're unaware of what energy you're bringing in, when you just walk into a room, a lot of teachers, I would say, have been educated to deliver their subjects. And they're not bad people at all, but they aren't embodied. And for a lot of children who are not traditionally academic, they are embodied. And unless we can find a way of being physically present and allowing them to be physically present, which is to move in the classroom, which is designed for clerics and accountants, how do we shift from this model without the teacher feeling, oh my gosh, I've lost control because the children are moving, or the children to feel I am bored to death because I'm not? How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's the other thing where we're talking about also, how you present yourself has a lot to do of how you also treat others, right? And others with capital O, right? And I will try to reply to it with an anecdote. Yes. So I remember I used to be a bilingual resource teacher in the US, in the Midwest of the US. I was the only Latina teacher in the whole school. And this was a primary school. And I was there to help the children to make the transition from the native language and giving support with English. For example, in mathematics, the order of the sentences in English and Spanish are different. So if you're doing subtraction, you might not get the correct answer just because of language, the way you write, right? And the way you're processing this sentence, the order of the sentence. And I remember they were telling me, oh, you're going to get these new students, so you know that you need to, because they do, you take them out of the classroom and you work specific for what they need support within language and academics. And I remember we have this staff meeting, and they were, Heidi, we have a problem. And I was, oh my God. We need your support because this child is going to be really challenging. Okay. You need to be prepared. You might need to develop a lot of things, talk to other teachers. We need a support system. Okay, I'm all for that. But you might, you might perceive that it's very challenging. Okay, what is it? The problem we have is he speaks 4 languages. That was my reaction, exactly. And what do you think I said? Do you have any guesses what I said? Okay, what else? Anything else? What's the problem? Exactly. With that attitude and that, I said, I think we are the ones with the problems because we're not multilingual.
Why did they think it was a problem?
Because then, how are you going to help him with academics, It's like now you have which language you're going to use for that. Because in their mind, it was being bilingual, it was a problem. And we need to accept that in the US, decades ago, being bilingual, it was meaning of being disabled. And they will send you to the special needs department. Yes, being bilingual in the US, meaning that you were disabled because you cannot learn if you don't know the language. right? And this is magnificent research they're doing here at University of Cambridge, the Second Language Education Research Group. And it's about talking about a multilingual identity. Like what we've been calling being bilingual is actually we're multilingual because it doesn't have anything to do of how many languages you talk and you communicate. It has to be the way you interact with each other. So yes, that was like, but why? My reaction was like, we are the ones with the problem because I'm multilingual. So for me, it's not a problem, you know, like, it's like, yeah.
And was there a problem when you were speaking and working with the child? Did it turn out to be an issue for you?
I never took him out of the classroom. He didn't have any problems. They were talking about, based on his profile, that they asked a couple of questions to the parents. That's it. Because if you write down how many languages, this is in the US system specific for Midwest, they ask you, how many languages do you speak at home? I will write probably 2. What is your mother tongue? I'll say Spanish, you know? So actually that piece of information, they will use it to discriminate you instead of looking at it as something positive. I'm not saying that everyone in the US this happens, but in this specific school in the Midwest, that was the way they were handling this. And the problem is, depending on who is the head teacher, right, and the team leaders within each like grade of primary school, they will manage this in other ways. There were schools 10 minutes from the one I were working that were doing like dual language classes. And I remember my mentor told me, I'm sorry, Heidi, you were hired in this school because they were backwards towards language and pedagogy instead of forward. And also other teachers that they found out that this is, you know, a problem. It was also, yeah, they were not giving the chance to these children to express themselves of meeting them. But then if we have conscience about who am I? Or just, if you're aware, if you don't want to reveal who you are, it's fine, but allow the others to express and share what they would like to do. And the thing is, by doing this, we're gaining because we're exchanging knowledge, right? So experience, for me, I base my work that experiences are knowledge. It's not whatever you read on a textbook, okay? As the only way of knowing. Did I answer your question a little bit with that anecdote? Okay. And sometimes I relate with anecdotes because I grew up in a household with storytellers. And most of their answers, they were given to me through anecdotes. So I'm revealing a little bit of my identity there. Anyone else would like to share something else, or should we move to the next one? Yes, please.
Very short question. I'm wondering, as the dominant language in the world is just English, so why couldn't you just speak English in the courses? Because all the children, they can understand the English. If you want to study other language, it might be a waste of time because you need to learn lots of languages. But the most important thing is of education, I think, is knowledge rather than language.
So from a social standpoint, I would say, why do they keep them in a classroom that is all English? The social construction of what it is to be someone in a country, most of it is that you blend in. And that is where all the weight goes to. For example, when I got into this school, children would look at me and they will ask me, Black children and Latino children will ask me, can I touch your hair? And of course, and I will let them. And you know what happened? They started using their hair curly as well. You know, in that tone. And I know, I don't like people touching my hair. But as a teacher, I was a preschool teacher before starting, like teaching in that school. And for me, it was about identifying, right? And It was part of our conversation. So please do not touch anyone's hair. Don't do that. It was my connection with those students that they asked me. Because before that happened, they will look at me and they will say, teacher, I love your hair. Teacher, it's like, and they will tell me, oh, my cousin wore this style or not, you know? And they will share about it all based on my hair. But then they felt empowered because I was representing them without wanting to on purpose, because I was a brown person using my hair curly. Because at least in my country, and my dad is from the Dominican Republic, and I'm half Dominican and half Puerto Rican. Usually the code to look professional is that you straighten your hair for women. Yeah. And then people look at curly hair and that it's not formal and you're not well put, okay? So that's another layer.
We're talking this morning in terms of the theatre piece that we're taking into schools, and the actors that we're working with is a young black actress, and we said, okay, what is your personal experience of racism in science? She said, my hair. It's my hair. So I said, okay, let's create a scenario which you would find offensive, that someone who isn't, and she said, well, people give her they said, oh, your hair is messy. And her response is, my hair's not messy. My hair's my hair. And so we've brought that in as one of the catalysts for the conflict within the piece. And the script that we've shaped is actually, interestingly, around this young black woman and how people are commenting on her hair. And it may seem a small thing, but from an identity point of view, and it's incredibly powerful. So when you say you allowed the children to touch your hair, I find that very moving, because when we try to educate our children to look more westernized and straight hair and white skin, when we deny so much of in that we also deny so much of our community, because they are not presenting themselves as authentic. They're just representations of the culture that they would like to be part of. So I found that, I just want to make that point.
Any Dutch for rowing training?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, and I need to go change first. So.
Thank you so much, and good luck with that.
Enjoy this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, take care. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm here. Do you mind writing your contact info here, please, so we can connect with you? So yes, that one of the anecdotes about like how you look, and I never was as aware as how I look until I was working with children and they're trying to make a connection with me, because I realized nobody else looks like me here. And they're spending here 7-8 hours of their lives. Hasta luego. And the other thing that goes further with the connection of language, coming back to you, is I remember when I started working with these students that I needed to help them with their English, was that I will talk to them in Spanish. And they will literally, when I talk to them in Spanish, they will do this. And I was like, what did I say? Because I know they know Spanish. And eventually, they relaxed and they started replying to me in Spanish. They told me, but you take us out of here to help with our English. Then you're talking in Spanish. And I was like, yes, because it's part of who I am, you know, and I can greet you, but you can reply to me in any language that you want. And the other part was, because I was just saying a greeting in Spanish, they open up and they start talking about cartoons within their country that I watched as well as I was a kid, but it's been running for a long time, and as well for them. So I noticed they were not talking in Spanish and expressing ourselves because they were told, you cannot do it. You cannot be yourself. So I gave them permission to be themselves. And sometimes we would work with language and content, but based on their culture. So I look for books about, I will do projects, a whole projects. So we're going to do like learning and teaching process through a project. So if they will need to work about writing in English, instead of just going to the book that they will assign to them, I will find something about they're interested, because I took the time to learn about them, just having a conversation, just being human. So the idea of having them in the same classroom is that they can perceive how the others are managing English, so they learn from that. But they give them standardized tests. They're supposed to allocate them. So they know enough the language to manage the academics there. And because you have 30 students in the classroom, you don't have enough teachers to work with like each of them. So they will wait until a certain moment of the day to tell me, this part that they did, they're having problem with this, you deal with that. So I'll be the one taking them and doing one-on-one with them. But then other schools, they will do dual language because most of the population, they speak certain language, and because they believe being multilingual is adding up to your knowledge and not subtracting from it. Did that answer so your question or not?
Just think about when you are speaking Spanish, the student prefer to speak Spanish. And if you are going to speak English, the student might also prefer to speak English. Does that mean the students, they don't have the right to recognize themselves as the independent person because they prefer to follow the teacher's choice? Whether you can speak the 3 different languages or 2 different languages, but the student, they always prefer to choose the language which the teachers say.
Yeah, and then the thing is, these children that they were sending to me because they doesn't know as much English as they would like, they will talk to me in English all the time, right? I was the one approaching a little bit because I heard them talking with parents to pick up, so I knew they will manage the language because I'm not going to go in front of them, making them to talk in Spanish to me, right? But there's a lot to be with language, emotions, and trauma in this environment. They were canceling their identity because if they heard them to talk in English, they would look at them. No? The way of writing. I gave you the option. You can reply there in any language that you want, right? They will not have that. So they will actually, the pedagogy that we're using there will stop the way of them interacting and expressing themselves because it's more important that you express it in English. So because if they don't want to express it in English, oh, they don't know anything. They knew, but you didn't open the doors for them to communicate because we have many ways to reveal the knowledge that is within them and how they would like to learn. So I need to move on really quickly because we are here it's quite late actually. We've been here, so they were supposed to be from 3 to 4:30. And we're still here. Are you okay? Yeah, we need to. Yes. So I will ask you one more thing. If you would like to, you can do it. If not. And while you're doing that, I'm going to clean up, so you're fine to stay. So for now, I will say goodbye to everyone. I will keep working here because we need to do our last activity and clean up. So
I saw some of the posts on the chat. Can I just confirm that we'll be able to get the chat from our colleagues because on film and things that we make that we would quite like.
I know that we're recording. Is the chat is going to be also within?
When we save the recording, we have it. The people at home, they can save it themselves.
Okay.
But you send it to us because there's some really interesting things.
Yeah.
Can you save it there within your connection, like the chat?
The chat, yes.
She will do it. So perfect. And then we can go back to that. So thank you so much, everyone. If you stay, you will look what is happening here, but that's from us. Thank you so much. So the last thing, and you know what? I'm really picky about the time, and I always just use the time that I have, but honestly, I completely was so involved with what was happening here, and I didn't feel anyone was rushing me, so I was like, okay. So this activity, I integrate visual arts. So the idea of this is because I cannot give you a doll for you to develop. I have some bounty here, which is really very common in this country, like not in my country. So I now appreciate this because it's different. So the idea is that you are going to design one of these based on who you are or based on what you learn from yourself today. I mean, it could be anything. If you want to have just dots, it's fine. Lines, whatever. So you have this, and I have some pegs here, some pegs here that you can help you to keep that tense there. And I have here, these are permanent markers, so they will be good for keep that tight there. And the idea of this is I will stitch them back. So we're going to have a collection of this. So I would like to put together an exposition with all this that we're generating through the research and the workshop. So I will invite you when that happens. Did I give you, he has the pegs there, so Roy, if you can pass it to them. And then one of those days that I'm really tired, I will stitch all of these together. Did I give you one? There you go. And then the pegs are there. If you need help with anything, let me know. With that. If you need more markers, they are here.